stole my thunder.
Sorry.
All right, good evening. Hello, this is going to be our Monday, June 30th meeting of the Select Board. Here tonight, we have our clerk, Ellen Rosenfeld, our vice chair, Craig Schultz. I'm Erin Underhill, the chair. We have Mike Kaczynski and Karen Beret DeMarzo, our town administrator and assistant town administrator. Do we have some announcements first? Do we have a middle high school announcement?
We do, actually. Do you want to recap?
Yeah, there was a community open house last 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it was a pretty well attended. A lot of information came out. Biggest point they were making, they are still doing value engineering,
Yeah.
looking at efficiencies. A lot of the issues that came up were, one of the efficiencies they found is the gym was 15 feet wider than it needs to be. Right now we seat about 400 people. The new gym will seat 720 something, and it was 15 feet wider than that. It would have set over 1,200 people into the other design. So they can get it to a reasonably high number of people in the gym, and they can up by reasonably high 300 more than they have now, and it'll save about $1 million on the project.
Yeah, that's because the MSBA,
Yeah.
right, won't, it was a little
Well-
bit too big.
It was a little too big, so we reduced it to the minimum size, the
'Cause-
maximum size the MSBA would fund.
Right.
And then also knocking 15 feet off of a gym width-wise, over the entire run of the gym, is a few hundred, $300 per square foot.
Yeah.
So that knocked about $1 million of cost off, and the gym will be completely reimbursable now, which is another big win.
Yeah,
So, and it adds 300 more seats to our existing gym. So there's really no loss to it at all.
no,
1,200 seats was probably too many.
that was, yeah.
That was a
That-
nice-sized gym.
Yeah, and which just goes to show that this firm that we hired is really sharpening their pencil every time we meet,
Yeah.
which is terrific.
And we are heading towards the point where we'll have cost analysis. We're not going to produce a cost until we have the final cost per taxpayer, until we have a final cost for the building and a reimbursement rate, which will probably occur sometime in September, early September. And then we'll have all the costs broken down, the final numbers prepared, and explain all that.
Yep.
And Ellen, you
I only
another
have,
one?
yeah, I have one announcement, just to keep everybody in the loop. You remember the MSBA zoning, and a couple of towns fought the state, and the biggest one was Milton, and they lost. So Milton, just the other night, did pass a bylaw, and so they returned to the fold. And I think it means like a little bit over 3,000 new units in Milton. So I'm glad that Millis didn't take up that fight that they thought was a good fight. That's all.
Anybody else, any other announcements?
Nope.
I was just going to say thank you to the rec department
Yes.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the
Oh, my
carnival and the
God.
fireworks this weekend, which I think were a huge success. The fireworks went on for quite some time.
Yeah.
Know who saw them and who didn't, but yeah, they had a
I
great
did.
night for it. And
Very nice.
Yeah,
Fun
we had a
was
great
had
time
by
at the
all.
carnival. Yes.
Did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
And the
So
weather,
thank
for the
you, Rec
most part,
Department.
held.
Yeah.
it
Yes.
did.
It really did.
Yes, they
Very
escaped
nice.
that 104 degree, whatever the heck temperature it was earlier.
All right, excellent. So we will move on with our agenda here. The first thing we have is the Millis Day 2026 proposal.
Come on up, Allison. Speaking of rec, sort of, and fun in Millis, it was a good
Sure.
segue.
So just introduce yourself and your address.
I'm Allison Rockwood, 89 Spencer Street in Millis. I want to propose to the town a Millis Community Day, starting for September of 2026. I spoke briefly with Karen and Mike, kind of getting an idea of what events already occur, and we're looking for sometime at the end of September, hopefully to follow the 5K run home that same Sunday. Still in the very early planning and ideas and so forth, but kind of take in some of the new vendors that are in town and all the small local businesses as well. And that is all for now.
Okay, so are we looking for some kind of
Well, so we've been
Not
talking
yet.
about this for a while. People, we used to
Yeah.
do the fireman's muster, and there were different things, and a lot of towns do, a Medway Day, Millis Day. And so finally Allison came and said, hey, why aren't we doing this again? We said, great, you want to spearhead it for us? So what we need to do is put together some sort of a committee
Yes.
that can help her out. So she's willing to spearhead, but the select board will have to appoint a committee. But we thought first have her come in and say, are you even amenable to us doing this? And like you were saying, it wouldn't be this year, it would be for
No,
September
I
of
think for September 2026, it's
2026.
too much to throw together for
Yeah.
I did
4
speak with
months.
Allison Marr, and you did as well.
Yes.
So Allison Marr is the one who does the Run Back to School every year. So we
Yeah.
thought, what a great day to piggyback off of the Run Back to School, kind of have that be the kickoff event.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to block off an area in downtown. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah,
sorry.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a board-appointed committee? I mean, I don't think the old one, the Oak
As
Tree
like an
League
ad
or
hoc
whatever.
committee? I don't know. Does it?
In fact, I think there's a lot, this is nothing that is it's a great thing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no.
But it's not a public
Right,
item. It's
right.
for the public, but it's not a school renovation committee. It's not a enterprise committee. It's
Right.
not a
Yeah, I
capital
don't-
planning.
Can you
It's
can it be an
absolutely-
ad hoc
yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of?
to answer your question, I don't think it requires.
Right.
Okay.
That
Because-
is up to the board. If you
Yeah.
are comfortable having a private group led by a person, just come and present ideas, and after they meet for a period of time, that's an option.
Right.
Yeah,
Well-
I would recommend that because it keeps you out of having to post your meetings, cancel your
Well,
meetings
that's-
if you don't
yeah.
have
True.
a quorum.
Okay.
Don't talk to 3 of them outside of the room,
Right.
who might all be your friends. Yeah, so-
Right, no, fair enough. And that's kind of my
Yeah.
thought is really just to get your approval and sort of
Yeah.
to move forward with this and the planning. And then we can establish a subcommittee, but if we don't have to be here, and then just to sort of get what you would like from us as we get closer to the event, what sort of approvals you might
Yeah.
want or need or
Yeah.
require. But I believe we would be sort of into the new year by
Yeah.
the
And
time you
Allison,
need
you
anything.
had already reached out to police and fire, obviously.
I had
and-
emailed
Yeah.
Chief Fire, and I asked him to forward it to Chief Barrett because I didn't have his contact information. I'm hoping to get together with them in the
Okay.
next couple months, but that's
So
easy.
I don't know if have you been in town long?
2 years.
Okay, so it was probably more than 2 years ago, I want to say. Erin's going to know what I'm talking about, though. It was like the night out, the police night out.
So I actually was a
Yes.
big part of that.
Oh, were you?
I was.
Okay, all
I
right.
was affiliated with Country Kitchen.
Okay.
I helped open them in 2019, and that was one of our first events here in town. So
Mm-hmm.
I became very friendly with, I believe, Farah had from the
Yes.
police department had
Yep.
spearheaded that, and so I became friendly with her. I'm originally from Walpole and started Walpole Community Day as well as some other events
Oh,
there.
good.
So
Okay.
kind of knew what we were getting into, but it was nice to do a smaller town.
Yeah, that event went off so well. I think, if you combined some
Yeah.
aspects of what happened there with like stuff on the town.
That was kind of
on the town
our,
lawn,
interest board is to kind of program off of that.
Okay.
But make it strictly a Millis
A
community
Millis
event instead
thing,
of
yeah.
just the national night out.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that's great. I think, a lot of questions have come up like, why, we used to do this, why don't we do it anymore?
Right.
And it's really been largely lack of volunteerism.
Yeah.
So,
And that
Yes.
seems to be a thing, and a lot of local towns, things have dissolved because of that, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping we can keep it simple and,
yeah, rally all your
Yeah.
friends, see who you can get in there, have some wine and
Yeah.
plan a
I know,
nice-
and
Fun
that would be a thing, yeah,
Event.
for the day.
We'll be
so.
glad to
Yeah.
give you a date when you come back and
I
present.
love it.
Yeah,
Great.
for
Well,
sure.
thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we'll talk. Thank you.
You have all her contact.
I do, and yes, she comes with a wealth of knowledge in other community planning,
Yeah.
like she
Okay,
said. So
great.
she's a
Sounds
perfect person, I think, and great that she's stepping
Thank
up.
you.
So.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay. Next, we have a hearing for the fiscal year '26 water, sewer, and stormwater rates. Oh, wait, sorry. Nope, I lied.
She lied.
5 minutes.
We're 5 minutes early. We have to do it on time.
You could do, you can reappoint the board and committee members if you want. That will take 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah, we could do that.
Is
So,
everybody here?
If you want to, you don't need them to be here.
Oh,
So
we
this
don't
is
need
just the
them? No.
reappointment. To you, that would be skipping to
25-139.
139, which I have to find. And so this is just your select board annual reappointment to boards and committees, because sometimes board and committee members, their term expires on June 30th. It could be for 3 years, it could be for 1 year, it depends on the board and committee. So in your packet, you will find a very long list of who is currently serving and who is interested in being appointed again. You don't have to read everybody, I don't think. You
No.
could just say, yes, you approve it as written, and we can post it.
Have all the people that are being reappointed been contacted to see if they want to be reappointed?
Yes, and a few, actually, we did get a few resignations by doing that, so we'll have a
Okay.
few more openings as time moves forward
Well,
here.
then that was a mistake.
I know, right?
Right.
Sorry.
I don't think we let them get off.
And these are
like
just, and
that.
again, these are just the select board appointed boards and committees. Obviously, there are other things, moderator
Right.
appoints finance
Right.
committee, yada, yada, that's not on this list. And then your liaison appointments is later in the agenda.
Right.
So this, you guys are not included on this.
Okay.
Still want to become a fence viewer. I'm not sure what that is.
Yes, you could be a fence viewer,
Yeah,
or
it's a nice
many
one.
things.
Okay.
Do you want to make a motion?
I see that, I was just looking at permanent building committee, and there's not a problem, but Ellen's being appointed as liaison to that. Doesn't that happen during our appointments?
Oh, did she stay on there
She
somehow?
did.
I'm not even,
Yep,
oh,
remove
yes,
her
I
from
am on that.
Then I
I
missed
don't
that
mind you
one.
being that, but if we're doing our own list later, let's do them all at the same time.
Right.
Nope, and they shouldn't be, she should be the only, is she the only one? Yeah, take her off. If you see anybody else, it's a liaison that I missed.
I saw that earlier, yeah.
We'll remove her. Thought I caught all of them. Yeah, just take a quick look, make sure I didn't miss or add anybody.
What are you,
I'm looking at that list.
what list?
It's on page, oh,
Two.
22.
There are no
40,
pages.
Page 22. Get down to about page, keep going,
Keep going,
keep going,
Sure.
keep going.
keep going.
Should say a page number, something, that's not showing you the page numbers. Keep going. Keep going, just past that.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
keep going.
Okay.
There you go. All right, well, I don't see anything else that's wrong with it except that one.
Okay,
Okay.
good catch.
I feel like I'm tech support for Ellen half the time.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I do probably, but I have to find out where that is on the list.
25-139.
Thank you. I move that the board reappoint the individuals listed on the committee contact sheet dated 6/30/2025 with the exception of Ellen Rosenfeld to the Permanent Building Committee for the term date as shown.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Here we go.
All right, can we set the date for the,
Yeah, you could talk
Okay.
about the fall
Sure.
town meeting date.
so
Yeah.
for the fall town meeting date, we already talked about this a little bit at our last meeting. So, looking at the motion that we have set forth, we need to figure out the election date.
Yeah,
Just looking at a calendar.
that's what I'm trying to pull up too.
So didn't we set the town meeting date for November 10th?
Yeah, we
did.
talked about that,
Yeah,
yep.
we talked about that when we have to actually vote it.
Yeah, you didn't formally vote it, but you did discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to vote for the 10th, and then would we want to do elections? Was there a reason we can't do elections on the 17th, like a week later?
There's there's a holiday in there, I think on the 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah, Veterans
And-
Day.
And then we wanted to leave time for early voting too.
Right.
So I thought we had discussed pushing it into early December
Either
for the
December
election.
1st
To
or
avoid
December 8th.
Thanksgiving, too.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we can do that? All
Yeah.
right. So,
Yes.
okay,
Is that what we want to
I
do?
think we probably do, because we want to avoid Thanksgiving, the last weekend.
And the 17th is too soon because of the early voting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to let early voting start. If we don't finish the town meeting on the 10th, 11th is a holiday, so you don't get those days of early voting. 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and then the elections. I think you want to give a full week of early voting. Because we don't have mail-in voting on this, just early voting in person.
right.
Okay.
Aside from absentee ballots.
So why don't we say December 1st?
Yeah, I like that.
Well, look at that for just, I was thinking the 8th only because if you look at that, you got Thanksgiving, 26th, 27th, 28th, anybody out of town.
Oh, right, yes, do
trying to
not do that. We
accommodate-
did talk to the town
If you're
clerk
trying to
about that.
accommodate early
Yeah.
voting in there, you're not going to get many days of early
And
voting.
you're gonna have people who are
Yeah.
away for
If we
Thanksgiving.
do the 8th, that gives you December 1st to the 6th for
Do
early
you
voting.
care, do we care that a whole month goes by between town meeting and the 8th? People will forget what they're voting for.
I don't think they're going to forget about a $72
I know, I'm
million
just asking,
vote.
I'm just asking,
Yeah,
a
no.
month.
I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to make sure we have enough time so that we're not cheating people out of early voting.
Right.
Now, let's just walk into that. If we have town meeting on the 10th, 11th is a holiday that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 days of early voting, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, half day probably. If we go the 17th, so that would be voting, I've slipped into the wrong month, I apologize. If we go the next week, it's 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, with the 26th, 27th, and 28th being Thanksgiving. People aren't gonna be around for that. So if you start early voting in earnest on the December 1st and have the election on December 8th, that gives everybody one solid week of early voting.
When does the early, is there a law? When does early voting start?
It's not required by law. That's a local.
And if we don't want to put early voting in, then it changes the whole issue.
Why
but
wouldn't we want to put early?
I think we would. I'm
Yeah,
just
we
saying If
do.
we don't want to put early voting in, it changes the whole
So
complexion
why don't we say December 8th then?
for the election with early voting starting December 1st.
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
Now, here's another dumb question, Craig, which you'll tell me later it is. Early voting doesn't get to start earlier than, will you only get 1 week?
We could set it for the whole time but
Yeah.
the problem is you got to
Oh,
staff it.
you gotta start, okay. How much do we typically give for early voting, do you know?
Well, on the state elections, I believe it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But again, that's required on the state elections. It's not required for local elections.
Okay.
Do
That's-
any.
That's a
It's just
local
up to you.
option. That's up
Yeah.
to you.
I mean, we could even start it, I mean, if you wanted to, start it on the, what did we say? The first-
No, that's
Start it
okay.
on the 29th to give you 2 Saturdays in there if you wanted to, but that would be, but that's coming right after Thanksgiving. Who's going to want to do that? Yeah.
Okay.
I think that works. yeah.
Okay. The 8th? You like
Yes.
the 8th?
So
We
we
make
have
a
a
motion?
motion on
Oh, yeah.
25-140.
I move the board set the date of the fall annual town meeting on November 8th and the election on,
No.
November 10th and the election on December 8th with early voting starting on December 1st.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Town meeting and then.
Okay.
Now you're.
Now we're ready for the hearing.
With the election.
Maybe approach this.
Yes.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
So this is a hearing for fiscal year '26 water, sewer, and stormwater rates. Craig?
Yeah, I move that the board open the hearing to discuss and vote the FY '26 water, sewer, stormwater rates.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to open the hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Good evening. So with us tonight is Ty and Bond. They've been representing us for the past, let's say, 5 years doing our rate increase for water and sewer. They also represent us for our annual statistical report. That's usually an overview of our annual audit of our water system. So they've been doing that also for the past 5, 6 years. This year, we actually contracted through a grant, not a grant, but funding from the budgets, and you approved that they would look at a 5-year overview for the system. But tonight, we're here to just talk about the FY '26 increases for the water, sewer, and stormwater. Some of them are extensive, and we'll get into that discussion, but one has to still remember there's a lot of infrastructure work that's still being done that is included in this. The finance director, myself, and Jen Scannell, the treasurer collector, have met several times with Ty and Bond, and this is the best that we could come. It was actually higher, believe it or not, than this, and we've cut it down to where we are today. So we'll let them introduce themselves, and they're ready for their presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, members of the board. First, we would like to thank the town for putting your trust in Ty and Bond, and just would like to underscore, Ty and Bond is a 100-plus-year-old organization based in the state, and we care deeply about water and wastewater towns in the state. So I just want to underscore that. My name is Hassan Doza, and my colleague is Josh Bouchard, and we will discuss, as Jim mentioned, the water, sewer, and stormwater base rates. Let me take a brief moment to guide you as to our...
Excuse me 1 minute. Just pull the microphone as close to you guys.
Yes.
You're supposed to be within like 3 or 4 inches from
Okay.
it. So
Is it
they'll
better
come and
now?
yell at us.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will begin with a brief overview as to how our rate analysis works, and then we'll walk through the specific numbers for water, sewer, and stormwater. Our process begins by analyzing the town's budget, both revenues and expenses, customer usage data, and also capital improvement projects to improve water quality for all 3 enterprises: water, sewer, and stormwater. The key component in our analysis is to ensure that the level of revenues are sufficient to cover both operating expenses, debt service obligations, and your capital expenditures. And this is how we find out what is the optimal level of revenue that's necessary to meet these requirements. So let us walk through the numbers for the water enterprise.
Let me know if it doesn't pop up on the screen at all.
Okay. If you're logged in, you should be able to just share.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yep. Wonderful.
We will start with your attention on the expense side. If you can see the expense numbers for fiscal year '26, I will point your attention to the number 1.95 million. So one of the main drivers for the water base rate increase for this upcoming fiscal year '26 is the year-over-year increase in expenses. As you can see, we are forecasting higher personnel expenses, up by almost 16%, higher operating and expenses from 600,000 to almost 700,000. And we are also planning a large transfer of reserves that's going up from 50,000 to 230,000. So all in all, the town is forecasting the expenses going from 1.6 million to 1.95 million. And that's one of the major drivers of our rate increase. And I will explain to you how the math kind of works. We did some optimization analyzing to make sure the town may be able to save some operating expenses from going up by that level, and we budgeted for that. But if you look at the numbers below, the most important number below is the number for the existing debt service. That's the town's, the water fund's annual debt service of its debt of $670,000. If we simply add our operating expenses of 1.95 million, as I showed you before, plus the 600,000 plus, it leads to a total expenses of about 2.5 million. The challenge is that if you look toward the top on the revenue line for fiscal year end 2025, our estimated fiscal year-end revenue number for the water fund is only 2.375 million. So the town, the water fund, is essentially $200,000 short in terms of its upcoming expenses going into this upcoming fiscal year 26. So, and that's essentially the math. So we had to forecast a revenue increase of at least 200,000, which is 10% versus last year, to just make sure the revenues covers the increasing operating expenses for last year. And the last point we do is that, look, ultimately, your town has done a phenomenal job in improving its water quality. And we want to make sure the water fund remains healthy, so we had to build in something we called some cash cushion. And that's at the end. If you look at the retained earnings line, all the way at the end, it's a green highlighted line. We made sure the water fund has some level of cash cushion, which we modeled at $235,000. And we also made sure that the fund has enough cash to cover its debt service payments. So it's the ratio that you see, 1.2 times. It simply means that the town has enough cash before debt service to cover the debt service amount of $670,000. So if you account for the increasing in expenses and us leaving some cash cushion to the town, that's the driver for the 12% base rate increase we forecast for the water fund. I know it's a lot, and we are very cognizant of affordability, and we are very cognizant of what it means. So let me just pause here and give you the opportunity to ask questions, because I do want to make sure we address it right now.
I have a question.
We're
Sure.
both looking at you.
I felt that. The transfer to reserves,
That's-
$230,000.
Yeah.
Is that to build the cash cushion? Is that, or is that going, what is that for?
That goes into a general reserve fund. So that's basically a cash outflow. Yes, that's a reserve fund for the town that's going out of the water fund, enterprise fund.
But that looks like that's the biggest reason for the 12%
It's-
increase.
Yeah.
When you're literally taking it from one pocket and you're putting it into another. The
When-
town already has that, correct?
The town should have that money into a account separate from the water enterprise fund.
Okay, so we're taking $230,000 out of the water enterprise fund.
Correct.
And where are we moving that to?
Did he retained earnings?
Yeah.
Is that where it's kept?
It will go to a reserve fund that's under the town, a town reserve fund, that the money will be there, but it will be outside the water, sewer, and the stormwater funds. So that's kind of the way the.
Okay, but how do we spend that?
I'm still missing that a little bit. Is that money reserved for water use in the
Go
future?
ahead, Jim.
So-
Is that how we get to the
Trends.
235,000 retained earnings?
If you notice the 50 and 50 for the
Yeah.
FY '24 and FY '25,
Yes.
when the budget was done, the finance director, when we put that number in, don't forget, we have to pay for the contract for
Right.
the replacement meteor at $198,000 something dollars. We will use those funds to fund that contract. So we
there's the
won't have to
meter
borrow
replacement
that.
Fund? Okay.
Either that, or we leave it there and we borrow the remaining funds in the, that's left in the, that's still available for the well 1 and 2 projects.
So that $230,000 is being moved out of the water fund into the general fund where we'll spend it on the capital projects that are needed for the water? Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
The
One
meters
of
you
those,
mentioned.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
one of the, the
Yep.
meters you mentioned.
Yep. The
So it's
meteor.
really a water expense, it's just
Yep.
the way that it flows. It flows to the general fund and not directly out of the water.
Correct.
Flows, it's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
But why,
Working that
but
in.
why?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just trying to understand what's happening, and then
because-
I'll understand why it's happening.
Well, because if you don't move it out to pay for that, you're going to have to borrow it.
We would not, we'd have to either wait till town meeting, or we would have to,
Okay.
for an appropriations for that,
I
for those
see.
funds.
So this frees it up from here, puts it right out
Correct.
there where it can be spent.
We missed the May town meeting,
Yep.
and it's a contract that cannot wait till the November town meeting.
Tell me about that contract a little bit, please.
That's the one for the replacement meteor for the charcoal that's
Yes.
inside the, that was approved, you approved that
Yep.
contract.
Yep.
And I told you, we had a way of
Yes.
paying for it without borrowing
the
it.
way?
And we're looking not to borrow, because and Jen can speak probably better to this, we've already bonded the well 1 and 2 project.
Right.
And for us to re-borrow more money, that would set things into, I would believe, a turmoil. Not a turmoil, but it's
would
still
upset-
available,
Okay.
but there's no need to do it if we have the funds here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this is basically paying for water-related, it's a water-related expense. We just have to move it out of this fund to pay the fund.
Correct.
Pay it out of the general
Yeah.
fund, because that's where the bill will come in.
Right, but because
To
we,
avoid turmoil,
right, which we don't like turmoil.
turbulence. keep the water
But
theme.
so in so doing, now we've created a little shortfall for
In
ourselves.
the bottom, right.
And that's what we need to make up with
Yes,
this,
correct.
the rates.
The rate
But
over
if we
the
had
year.
gone with borrowing
Same
for this,
thing.
it would be the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a
Same
question
but
of
different.
mechanics. It's not,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's just mechanics. All right, that's understandable a little bit more.
Okay.
I have a question about, I had a question. Well, why did debt service fall so much on the capital outlay line?
Yes, we had anticipated the question. So as you had been, as the town, water had been investing in these PFAS treatment systems,
Yes.
the town had to borrow short-term debt. So what happened was that this current fiscal year, there was a borrowing of short-term debt, and that short-term debt is being now paid out. So that's why your short-term debt expense is going down. So that was a one-time increase for fiscal year '25. And Jen can...
That is correct, true. Plus, Jim got the $4 million grant for the PFAS plant, so that offset the borrowing.
Perfect. Thank you. I understand that one now. To complete the trifecta, existing capital outlay, why does that fall by so much?
Well, that's good news. So as I mentioned before, your
I figured
town...
that was reasonable.
Look, we wanna-
Always end with good news.
Yeah.
Always end with the good news. Your town has done tremendous job investing into improving your water quality. And the bulk of those capital spending are behind us for fiscal year '24 and '25. So going forward, our capital needs for the town's water fund are much lower. So that's a positive, and that's going forward. That should also alleviate, more needs for cash. So that's definitely a lower CapEx burden for this coming fiscal year.
So going back to the first question, next year, FY '27, with everything we know now, there's obviously things that can change. That transfer to reserves, is that an ongoing 230, or is that a one-time?
That's a one-time.
I mean, there'll be some transfer, but it won't be
Correct.
230. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good job.
Y'all looked at me a lot.
I was going to say one comment, I'll make it now for all our capital improvements. If you notice, we've actually pulled back everything because of the expenses because of that 12% rate increase. It's not that it's a good sign that we're not replacing a full meter replacement program, which could be $4 or $5 million. Replacing water mains, that, one stretch of, Main Street could be several $1 million. I mean, that's not helping the entire water system, but to get things caught up, we need to slow the process of replacing and keep on going out and borrowing. I mean, we could do it. I mean, and, there's things on that list that the DEP or especially the booster station that you've heard me talk about for years and years up on Walnut Street, that we acquired the land for nothing. And that's a big thing that they're on us about. So that could be in the next several years. And again, that's you're not talking 300, 400,000, you're talking millions, to take the booster station out of the ground and put it above ground. So we are pushing things off, and it's not that it's a good thing to do, but right at this time with the expenses of the 2 PFAS plants, and most importantly, with the regulations coming down from the EPA, there's going to have to be another one, but that's a talk for a later date.
And in FY '27, when the 230 goes back to a more reasonable
Correct,
number,
and
that
that'll
will free
lower-
up money for
Correct.
capital expenditures.
I have a quick question. What's the matter with the thing in the ground that has to come out of the ground?
It's a confined space entry, and it's old. It's probably been there since, the system was built. The pumps burn out, they get flooded. And when rain comes in, even although we try to keep it as sealed off as possible, that manhole fills up with water, and it's, not good to have water and electricity at the same time
No?
together.
It's not good to have water and electricity at the same
Tell
time.
me about it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not on that one, no.
Okay.
If you would allow us, my colleague Josh will spend a brief minute or two on the sewer and the stormwater rate increases. Josh, please go ahead.
Give Josh the easy ones, huh?
So comparing the sewer to water, you can already see that instead of a 12% number, we're looking at a 2% number. So to go quickly over what went into that, historically, the town is bringing in about 1.7 to about 1.8 million dollars in revenue per year. And on the other side, what's coming out of the system, you guys are looking at about 1.5, 1.4 million dollars in expenditures per year, with capital costs ranging from $350,000 now slowing down to about $250,000. Your enterprise fund is at a really good level right now. Your debt service ratio is in the perfect range. Your months of cash on hand is perfect. We're recommending a 2% rate increase just to keep up with inflation. So No planned capital projects, or no big planned capital projects coming in the future, so no reason to go hog wild with that number. And moving on to stormwater. Very similar thing to sewer. You guys are bringing in about $700,000 to about $800,000 in revenue. Coming out of the system, you've got about $700,000, $750,000 worth of expenditures. Capital projects, very low. They're starting to ramp up in fiscal year '26. You can see historically, they've been about $65,000, $50,000 per year. Now they're going up to $277,000 per year. The town just recently completed an asset management plan for the water, sewer, and stormwater system. Within the stormwater system asset management plan, several projects were identified, so that's why that number is going up. Enterprise fund is in, again, very good condition, meeting debt service ratios. You got plenty of cash on hand. So to anticipate these capital projects that are going to be coming in '26, '27, '28, we're recommending a 4% rate increase for all of those. I know I went through that very quickly, but do we have any questions?
Craig is mathing, hold on.
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah, with the per unit cost of stormwater being $99 per unit. Oh, that's coming up, never mind. Sorry, I hate when people jump ahead, but I was mathing. Okay. Continue.
Okay. And to summarize, and
There we
to, so you had the right idea. So to summarize, what we did last year, or what the town decided to do last year, for water, there was a 10% rate increase across the board for all base fees and all usage fees and this capital assessment charge. This year, it's 12%. You can see all of the rates that are presented here. For the sewer, a 5% was passed last year. A 2% is being recommended for this year. Again, you can see the rates over here. And then for the stormwater, the fee hasn't been changed in several years. So we're recommending going from $33 per year for a flat fee up to $34.32.
Hardly seems worth it.
Well, I was looking at retained earnings. That's the thing is, retained earnings in stormwater are not sufficient to cover the capital projects of basically the $230,000 increase in cap. Yeah, that would eat into retained earnings pretty heavily.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, can you just switch the screen to the, I'm sorry, it's still, you're still on sewer.
Oh,
Sorry, nope, that's okay.
I never noticed that it wasn't showing any of the, anything.
That's, all of a sudden I was like, oh, you know what? Just for
Okay.
people, who, if anybody's watching it
There we
home or
go,
wants to watch
okay.
the video, at least it will show it. Thank you.
So Jim, we're raising the stormwater,
Yes.
first time.
First time.
How many years?
Six is
It's
2019.
been 6 years, yeah.
2019.
$1.32 or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, something
Per
that
unit,
needs to be
yeah.
said about that is that it's based on a billing unit. So homes can have multiple billing units,
Yeah, I
so
get that.
it can add up.
Yeah, but a lot of the homes. are
So,
in the 3
yeah,
to
the
4 unit
33,
range.
so take that 34, 32 and times that by 3, because that's what the $99 was.
99,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. All right.
I had a comment and it knocked it right out of my head.
Give it a minute. It is what it is.
Does the board have any other questions?
I understand it. I mean, I'm a little disappointed with the 12% increase, but I understand
I
it.
know.
You know, it's, and I'm thrilled to see sewer rates coming down because those are the expensive ones. I mean, not coming down, but not growing at 5%, growing at 2% versus the 5% the prior year.
I do remember my comment. If you go to the water and the capital assessment, I know this board, many members on this board, don't like that capital assessment, and neither do myself and Jen. As part of our long-range forecast is, we're going to see what the expense would be to build this into the regular rates.
Yeah.
And take that off a quarterly billing of 7617. Because if you remember, it was up, remember it was down, it went up,
Yep.
and then
I
it went
do.
down
And now it's
last
up.
year, now it's back up again.
Yeah.
Because it has to meet that rate. We will talk further with Ty and Bond to see how that can be rolled into everybody's water rate.
Yeah, it needs, I personally believe
Yep.
it needs to be based on usage, just like everything
Yeah,
else.
Correct. And that's part of the 5-year outlay, long term.
No, kids are out of the house.
Before I ask for
I think the
audience comments, do you guys have anything else?
No, I think we're good.
You're good? Okay.
Yes.
Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to ask any questions or speak to the rates?
Couldn't resist that one.
I knew.
Kathy McInnes, 78 Island Road. I wonder if there's ever going to be some discussion about increasing revenue to the water enterprise, that being the tie-in fees for new water meters. There are several towns that have $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to enter, and Millis is at,
For
Mr. McKay, I'm sorry?
2,000?
$2,086. I think it's time that people start looking at revenue enhancing for the bills for especially the water rate payers who, in all fairness, we have some of the best water in the Commonwealth as a result of, there are towns that are looking to pay millions of dollars to tie into MWRA now because of the PFAS, and you know all about that in the towns out in the North Metro West. So there's no reason why, sitting as the committee, that you couldn't think about increasing the water rates, especially with all the projects that are going on now, coming up. You know, I wouldn't lollygag on it. I'd really put an effort and help out the water payers. 12% would be, you know, just something to think about and throw out
Yeah.
there.
I
Thank
think
you very
we
much.
should have that breakdown by surrounding
Yeah.
towns.
Jim, didn't you say we were going to look at that?
So, as part of these rate increase, those fees are not part of this, part of that increase.
Right.
At this time. It doesn't mean that you cannot, during the year, after looking at it, I don't have the exact number of how many we did tie-ins. I mean, with Toll Brothers gone, there's nowhere near that amount
Yeah.
to actually put a good dent or damage
Yeah, you
into
have
that
to put a lot of
12%.
people
But to raise it to, what the speaker said, $6,000, $8,000, that could do a lot to help
No,
some
I
of
know,
that,
but I don't know how I know that the rates in all the neighboring towns, because every builder I know is having a nervous breakdown,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They're crazy.
Yeah, I don't know I haven't researched that.
Yeah.
We can.
We
and I
should.
I
can
think
do
it'd be
that.
worth finding.
I don't like
Yeah.
to be the highest.
Yep.
I don't like to be the lowest.
No.
Like, there's a sweet spot.
Jen knows more than me. Get up.
Second, fifth.
I just want to add, just so
That's my
you're,
sweet spot.
we can clarify. Last year, the water tie-in fees for both water and sewer did go up 5%. You know, Kathy's obviously saying that we need to look at comparing towns, which we can, but we did increase them last year. They're just not a part of this year's increase. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, if we can look at the
We should look
comps
at
for
that.
that
Sure.
and see what we
I
can,
can get that for your
do.
next meeting. Yep.
thank you.
Yep. It's like tie-in bond saves us money, and Kleinfelder will come in and
Take it.
spend every one of the cent that they give us.
we have to close the hearing.
Well,
Okay.
fifth.
Are there any other questions or comments from the audience?
I just like, the one comment I ask year after year. Sorry, Kathy McInnes again. Can you tell me, I turned my phone off to find the calculator, what's the percentage increase in the indirect costs? 2.5%? Oh, that's, thank you, that's pretty
It was capped at
impressive.
2.5%. Yeah.
However, the indirect for one of them is, the stormwater indirect goes from 10 to 15. That's a little more than 2%. The poor stormwater's never been picked on before. That's all right. Thank you for the 2.5%.
Sure. Okay, do you want to close the hearing?
Yeah, I move that the board close the hearing to discuss and vote FY26 water sewer stormwater rates.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, I move that the board adopt the proposed FY26 rates as follows. Water 12% increase, sewer 2%, stormwater 4%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have some appointments.
Yes, Madam Chair. So some very exciting appointments this evening, starting with the town clerk. As the board knows, upon the recent successful passage of the town meeting article and ballot question to change the position of town clerk from elected to appointed, we began the process of advertising for this position. And based upon that search, I decided to appoint Kathy Smith to the position. As the board knows, Kathy has been the acting town clerk since last August. When our elected town clerk resigned, Kathy's done an outstanding job boldly stepping into this vitally important role and has since successfully guided the town through 2 elections and 2 town meetings. And prior to this period, Kathy served as the assistant town clerk and deputy town clerk with distinction for many years and is well respected by her colleagues. Kathy was overwhelmingly elected the town clerk at the town election last month, and she has extensive experience and has proven beyond any doubt that she is quite ready to take on the challenges of being the first appointed town clerk for the town of Millis. Therefore, I'm enthusiastically recommending that the board ratify my appointment of Kathy Smith as the town clerk.
Okay, I move that the board ratify the town administrator's appointment of Kathleen Smith to town clerk effective 7/1/2025.
Before I second that, I just want to say that anybody I talk to that comes into town hall for any question or any aggravation or any whatever, their first stop is the town clerk's office. And no matter what answer they get, may not be the one they came in looking for, they are so impressed with the welcome, the help, the guidance, the time spent. It sets the tone for how they feel about this town. And it all comes from the town clerk's office. And I gotta say it, it doesn't matter who I talk, they don't know who I am. And it's universally known that this whole building is terrific, but it starts with the town clerk's office. So I will second the motion.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Kathy.
Congratulations, Kathy.
Well earned, Kathy.
Madam Chair, the next appointment, we recently advertised internally for the position of assistant town clerk. This, because of the new makeup of the town clerk's office, was a new title within the department. After that process, I'd like to appoint Sue Vara. I believe she is the best applicant for this position. Sue's many years of experience working for the town, along with her knowledge of the operations of the town clerk's office, make her a perfect fit for this important position. Sue has proven herself to be a team player and an expert in serving a diverse public. And due to these reasons, I'm enthusiastically recommending the board ratify my appointment of Sue Vara to the position of assistant town clerk for the town of Millis.
Okay, I enthusiastically move that the board ratify the town administrator's enthusiastic appointment of Susan Vara as assistant town clerk effective 7/1/2025.
So the same goes for Sue Vara. I don't want to leave her out because I'll hear about it tomorrow. She is terrific. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Yay, Sue, even though.
Yay, Sue.
She's on a well-deserved vacation.
Thank you.
That's right, she's floating right now.
Yes, Madam Chair. The next appointment, due to the recent creation of the Human Resources Department, we advertised internally for the new position of Municipal HR Generalist. We were very fortunate to have an outstanding candidate with the perfect combination of experience and skill to tackle this new position. Victoria Schindler, who the board knows very well, has worked in the Select Board Town Administrator's Office for almost 3 years and has served as the town's benefits coordinator and has performed extremely well in this position. Victoria has proven to be willing to challenge herself with new types of work and greater responsibilities. She has superb people skills, and I'm quite confident that she will excel in this position. And due to the reasons stated, I am enthusiastically recommending that the board ratify my appointment of Victoria Schindler to the new position of Municipal HR Generalist for the town of Millis.
All right, I move that the board ratify the town administrator's enthusiastic appointment of Victoria Schindler as Municipal Human Resource Generalist effective 7/1/2025.
Victoria's been a terrific addition to this office. The way she fits in and her personality, everything is terrific. So, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. She's not in the room, but yay, Victoria.
Hey, Victoria.
Maybe.
Working hard.
Yeah.
We do have another appointment. Again, this was for the Department of Public Works. And I will turn it over to the Director of Public Works to talk
Thank you.
about our exciting new addition.
So this is very exciting, enthusiastically. I will, this is the new hire that was appropriated at a town meeting. One of our employees took that position, and this opens up a position Tuesday through Saturday. Chad would have been here if I had told him that he was being appointed tonight, but I forgot. Chad is a Millis resident. Chad Hopman, he lives on, I won't give his exact address, but he lives on Plain Street. He is a graduate of Norfolk Hagee, and he also has an environmental science degree from Westfield State. The most important thing, during the interview process, the town administrator, myself, and David Gamache, the superintendent, this was the first time we've actually had 3 very well qualified candidates. It was exciting to see that we had 3 candidates, that we could have given it to any one of them. Chad stood out because of the most important thing. He has a pesticide license. And if you all know, I've been wanting that. We contracted, Craig, you probably did that, 2 other contracts. We gave that as a stipend, and no one could ever, never went and filled it. So Chad comes with that, and that's what put him to the top of the list, out of the 3 candidates. So what that means is he's going to be able to go out and write a management program to spraying ball fields. We will also fertilizing our own town fields, so we don't have to outsource that any longer. So that's a big input for us. That's a great source for us. Chad also served in the reserve for 8 years. He was a municipal police officer, not a municipal police officer, he was a police officer.
Military police.
Military
Yeah.
police. So it's the town administrator's appointment, so I'll let him take it from there.
Members of the board, I am asking that the board ratify my appointment of Chad Hopman as a heavy equipment operator laborer, pending a successful DOT physical and drug screen.
I move the board ratify the town administrator's appointment of Chad Hopman as an HO, heavy equipment operator laborer, pending a successful DOT physical and drug screen.
Second.
Not gonna say anything nice, Ellen?
Well, I actually met him. I happen to be here, and
Good
he's a very nice young
There you
man.
go.
But he has a pesticide license, so I don't care how
Enough
nice
said.
he is. He has a pesticide license.
Excellent hire.
Okay,
He seems
so
like a
it's been
great
moved
guy.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, these are our appointments, so I'll make the
Yes.
appointment. I move the board appoint Wayne Carlson as a member of the zoning board of appeals effective 7/1/2025.
Second,
Wayne's
Okay.
been on that position in the past,
Ever.
too. Forever, yeah.
ever.
And he
Yeah.
stepped away and now he's back.
Yeah.
Yep. He missed it so much. He
Yeah.
came back.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
And this is our appointment as well. I move that the board appoint Kathleen Smith, as Ellen spoke so fondly of earlier, as a member of the board of registrars effective 7/1/2025.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody, and congratulations to everybody in their new
Everybody.
positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're actually all hanging in.
No, it's exciting.
So the next thing on the agenda is a discussion of a proposed development and request for sewer capacity allocation.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Doing great, how are you?
Good.
I can present, I have a couple of slides if you want to see them. Is there an easy
So
way
if
to
you
do
log
that?
into Zoom, which is
Okay.
right here, I'm gonna give you the, log into Zoom, you can just share your screen. Sorry,
Super.
thanks, Dan.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Dan.
And if you want to introduce yourself in the interim here.
Sure, this is Andrew Zappo representing SSC Corporation.
They all know me.
You look familiar.
I know. Dan American with Legacy Engineering.
All right, it's loading. Be on very quickly. Thanks for your patience. Appreciate your time.
Sorry, is the sun right in your eye? I feel like the sun is right. Is it, want me to pull the shade?
While that's loading, I'm going to fill up my cup.
All right.
There you go. We don't want to blind you. We're happy you're here.
I can get them started.
Okay.
So they, the Zappos came to us several months ago. Bob met with them, myself, the town administrator, and they're going to present what they want to do. But in many discussions and meetings with them, I had told them that they should stop here about the sewer capacity for the development. So after a discussion maybe tonight, I still haven't given them the sewer extension permit, that they will have to fill out if you deem it necessary, so we can save that conversation for later. But they've been in many times, they've met with us, they brought us bagels, coffee.
Oh, yeah?
Very nice.
They didn't bring us bagels and
We got
coffee.
nothing. Yeah. We got nothing out of this.
Okay, super. All right, can you see my screen?
Can.
Yes.
All right, terrific. Thanks again. We're here to make our sewer allocation request for 1280 Main Street, and this has been a dormant parcel until now, so we think that this is an opportunity that could become a cornerstone neighborhood for the city of Millis. And I'll show you a few important slides and then get your feedback.
Town.
Town, sorry. I'm excited. Okay, so the current site is an industrial property. It's contributing very little to the town in terms of financially or socially. It sits idle on Main Street, disconnected, but it is a large opportunity to connect with downtown and provide more walkability in a great neighborhood close to the center.
So if people don't know what property this is the Bab Far property that's been there forever.
Across from Tractor Supply.
Yes.
Kind of back behind the old
Yes.
railroad bed.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It is back, you do have to drive through a driveway and pass one of the, into the woods a little bit. And there's a solar field back there as well. If you're familiar with that. All right, so right now, this is the current view of the site. You can see that it's pretty sterile, but we brought in one of the best site designers in the country, possibly in the world, to help us configure something that would be unique to Millis and contribute a lot of value. And right now, obviously, there's no tax base or very little tax and no civic function going on, and we think this is an opportunity to change that. So we're not just building a bunch of housing, we're building an entire community in this section, in this industrial piece of land. And it's focused around connectivity, walkability, and providing much-needed housing for the residents of Millis that are looking to downsize, for families that want to be first-time home buyers, and other families that want to live in this type of community. So you can see on the right, there's a picture of the green space. This isn't a rendering, but it's the idea that we're thrusting on this project. We want to create this type of green space where the houses face the center and have the greens and an opportunity to connect with their neighbors and walk around. So what the project is specifically, it's 96 homes. It's a mix between flats, condos, and single-family houses. It'll support 176 bedrooms, and it includes a much-needed affordable component. And I mentioned the walkable design, but it's also near downtown, so it's a potential to link with downtown and provide more walkability for the residents there as well. And we're serious about this project. We've already invested $60K in due diligence to move things along. But we see this project is not viable without sewer. We've checked every alternative. We've even looked into a packaged treatment plant, but there'd be massive land loss, excessive cost, and critical delays, and it just wouldn't be viable. So this is stuck on idle until we can have a sewer allocation, and that would make this thing go forward. We're serious and we're ready, and we've brought Dan from Legacy Engineering to speak to the sewer component of this.
Good. All right. I'm going to say things we've heard a lot over the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm just going to give you a recap. I provided a letter to you just so you have an understanding of the current condition of your sewer capacity and allocation and what this project would do to it. You have a total allocation at the treatment plant of 628,000 gallons per day. Your 2023 sewer policy basically set aside a 5% reserve capacity, an amount of flow for everyone who's paid a betterment, which was 50-odd thousand gallons per day. And then in 2023, you assessed all approved projects and anticipated projects, and you indicated based on Title V flow rates that you had 31,000 gallons per day of available capacity for connection. You updated that in 2024, and the available capacity increased from 31,000 to 36,000. That's because, as I think everybody knows, Title V flow rates are grossly inflated, and as the units come on for the projects that you've approved, the number that you're holding is never realized because the actual average discharge is half of what you're carrying on the books.
Remember all that?
So,
Do you guys remember all?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
yeah. So this project, Title V flow rate, right, which is twice average day flow rate, would be 19,360 gallons per day. So as of your 2024 update, you had 36,752 gallons per day available. So you have capacity within your sewer policy clearly to accommodate this development. If you look at more realistic flow rate projections, if you allow this project to connect, you'll still have at least 75,000 gallons per day of capacity. So I want to kind of conclude with a pretty startling fact that I just discovered today. This whole thing started in 2019 with a memo from your consultant. In that memo, GCG reported that your 3-year average daily flow discharge to the district was 397,000 gallons per day, which is about 62% of what you're allowed to. In the 2024 update, which you did last year, your 3-year average flow discharge was 398,000 gallons per day, less than 0.5% increase over 5 years.
What was the number in 2019?
397.
397.
Ooh, look at you.
And last year it was 398. So 5 years of building, your actual discharge increased by 0.5%. So the long and the short of it, in my view, is that you have plenty of capacity for this project if it's something that you're inclined to entertain.
So when you say I don't remember offhand, the projects that we've already, obviously Toll Brothers, it's built out 100%.
That's done, yeah.
Oh, so that's done. And then you've got Mark House project on the corner of Hammond.
That's included
That's
in the
included.
future projections.
Tresca's included.
Yes.
Who
Corner
else?
of Pleasant, Bada Bing site is included.
Bada Bing's, of course. Herman Shoe,
Yes.
okay.
And they also added in
Which one?
the 2024 reassessment, the available capacity actually increased a lot more, but you added in as a future potential project Stony
Right,
Brook,
Stony Brook,
19,800 gallons per day.
okay,
And that's not,
okay.
that hasn't come to you
Is
yet.
there anything else that we know is coming that isn't in, that we know is coming? No,
Not
no
that you know.
permits up. Good answer. Okay.
I mean, from discussions we've had previously about capacity and what we'd want to see come here and use capacity, it would be, you know, a mixed situation with affordable housing.
And this will be a
We want
comprehensive
housing.
permit, so it'll be 25% affordable,
25%.
25%. And
Does
you'll,
this get us over the hump?
you're getting really, really,
I know, we're always
really
getting
close.
really, really, really close, but we're never,
You're not going to be talking about 40Bs in 2 or 3 years, is my projection.
okay. So, yeah, sure.
So we received Dan's letter Thursday night, and I was off Thursday and Friday, so I haven't really digested it all yet. Our projections of sewer capacity on an average daily flow is much higher than what Dan just presented. We have it at like 424 to 425,000 gallons on last year's flow rates. I think that what we need to know, and just so we're on the record, and I'm speaking truthfully, what we're doing, every time we mortgage ourselves into these larger developments, you're kind of handicapping the future of Millis residents that have the right to probably tie into sewer. And that's my opinion, and I've stated that from the beginning, always on this discussion. I've reviewed this policy. I think this is a great development. We did talk right away. We spoke of the package treatment plant. You know, I even mortgaged ourselves into saying that, you know, I'm sure we could get the select board to, if you build it, we'll take it, you know, we'll own it, so on, so on. Most importantly, I think that we have to still look at the town through the Charles River Pollution District. You know, we still have to send this, you know, I'm sure when we move forward tonight, we'll give, you know, the applicant the sewer extension permit, and they'll have to more formalize, you know, the design and what their intentions are for that to move forward. I'll have to send that to the Charles River Pollution District, and they may not sign off on it. They probably won't, because on paper, we're still at that capacity. But you still have the right to override whatever they do, and whether they penalize us or not. But the town of Millis right now is on the verge of being forced to take a sewer permit from the Mass DEP, just like the Charles River Pollution District have. They have all the different communities in their Franklin, Medway, Bellingham, and the town of Millis. We may have to have our own separate permit, even though we're discharging to the Charles. In what the regulation states, it hasn't been approved yet and hasn't gone forward, is right now we have the average daily flow of like 1 million gallons a day when you have heavy rains and stuff like that. We usually, they're knocked off the calculation for the yearly flow. Those are going to have to be calculated into the yearly flow, the daily flow. So if we have a day of 1 million, which last year I think we succeeded that 3 times. If you remember, last year it was probably the driest year we ever had, and at 3 or 4 times we went that 1 million gallons 3 or 4 times. So in that time, we don't use that as the flow calculation. We will, with this new permit, we will, and that, so that 424 could be whatever. So, like I said, I really haven't looked at Dan's, and I just read, you know, the comment that he just made. I'd have to look at it. You know, myself and Mr. Duffy, the only member left in the Enterprise Committee, you know, we did a spreadsheet that I forwarded you to take a look at, and I think it shows that 424, but we really haven't gone through everything yet to make a formalized presentation, but Mr. Duffy has comments too.
Just before Mr. Duffy gets up, just one thing I wanted to kind of mention or point out. Dan, you said it would be something like 19,000 gallons that they would need, right?
The Title V flow rate is 19,360.
Okay, and right now, under this list of permitted flows, there's a pending Stony Brook for 19,800, and they have not been before us yet.
They haven't been, have they been to see you?
No.
So that is not even a thing yet, but that's 19,800 gallons.
That we're reserving already, though. Yeah.
But we don't need to be reserving it because
Right.
they haven't come to us.
Right, exactly. But even with that in there, as a reserve amount, it's still 36.
Right, right. Mhm. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
No, that's
Duffy.
good.
No, that's, I was thinking the same thing. It's a trade-off with.
Jim Duffy, 343 Exchange Street. I don't know if there's a Water Sewer Commission anymore, but
I know.
But you're chair of it.
I was
What have you
on.
done?
No,
We don't want-
anyway. I'm just here to state some facts based on data. You saw the spreadsheet that went out. I updated, I finally found where the reserved projects are, and we have some calculations based on that. But in terms of historical daily flows from 2020 to 2024 to 2025, in reverse order. So projected 2025 based on Q1, which honestly is historically seemingly a little higher than the rest of the years. Makes some sense probably. 409,000. Last year was 474. So.
Actual?
Yeah, this is real data. 2023 was 391, 2022 383, 2021 was 420. So now I think the DPW has taken some inflows out of the system, right, along the way. So it's always going to vary a little bit, be that as it may, right? And so from there, we've calculated a 3-year rolling average, but just taking those numbers. So quick question to everybody. Somewhere in a spreadsheet, we have this 80% number for our sewer flow, right? There's the 5% buffer, then somewhere an 80% target of not wanting to exceed 80%. Does anybody remember where that came from? Because
Well, we
I don't
just-
think I made it up, but I might
Yeah,
have.
we made it up.
I think
It could
after
be
some
100.
thought and consideration, we thought it was a prudent number, as Ellen said.
Okay,
Or did that come from Charles River?
no, that
No?
was ours.
Okay, all
Absolutely
right.
not.
All right, so the spreadsheet has that, and some terms I coined was permitted working capacity, which is really the 95% of, right? And then I call it working capacity,
Yep.
which is really the 80%, okay? So of the working capacity, the 2023 through 5 3-year rolling average is 96% of the working capacity. And it's 79% of the permitted capacity. So plus or minus a couple of percent here or there, just whatever, but that's the data, okay? And that changes when you do 3-year rolling. So of the reserved projects that originally we had of roughly 90-something thousand gallons, we did an estimate of about 60% of that's been online. So there's roughly now still 40,880 gallons of reserved capacity.
Does that sound right?
Assuming, you're talking about including projected projects,
No,
or permitted projects, but not online.
permitted projects, so the ones that are still in flight are Emerson Place, which is 45%, I think, according to a letter I just saw. Gateway at Millis, we targeted at 66%, because 2 out of 3 buildings are built. 1178 Hammond and Main, 0%, right? That's, and then Cobble Knoll, what is that?
That's 1344 Main
Is
Street.
that Tresca?
No,
No.
that's Tom Roach.
1344 Main, anyway.
Yeah.
Yep,
0. So that's
That's
now.
right. Yep.
Pending, we could have a discussion of what the hell do we want to do with pending? Because if they're not approved, then
There is
you,
no- yeah.
you might want to factor those, right? We might want to keep that number out there and what they are and what they're going to make up, and it's kind of a race of who may get here first, but pending does apply to our capacity, potentially, right? So you need to factor
well, I don't
that
mind.
in some way.
No, I mean,
Right?
I agree with you. I don't mind pending, but I'm not going to hold.
We're not going to hold it.
Right.
Right. If, like Jim has said, it's just first come, first serve. I mean, that doesn't change.
But it's an important number to know
Yep.
what we may have left at some point in time. And if Project ABC doesn't use it, DEF is probably going to come in and use it, right? So from a future projection, sort of a number we want, but how we use it, it's open for discussion, in my opinion, right? So that's essentially what it says. Now, calculating or now using the 40,000 gallons, our working capacity remaining is minus 8,461. Now, obviously, the 40,000 is going to translate to, call it half of that, 20,000. So that's going to give us minus 8 plus, what did I just say, 20? It's going to give us 12,000 gallons.
Okay.
Right? And when those reserved projects come online, we're going to gather out of 40, call it half, we're going to gather another 20,000. So that's against the working capacity of roughly 80%. So we're marginal. When the future gets here, we'll be fine, right? But that's the data. I'm not here to dispute anything else. And then-
Okay.
Yeah, I think when we put this together, we realized there'll be a time when we run out of capacity. It's just a question of what are the projects we want to do until we get to that time. And do we dispute that 36,000 gallons, whatever, the 36 GPD is available right now? Is that not in dispute? That's including the pending Glen Ellen project.
Well, maybe against.
Stony Brook.
I don't have that calculation because I don't look at it that way. Maybe against the 95% capacity, that might be accurate. Against our working capacity of 80%, I don't think that's accurate.
Right.
Now, we may elect to say we're going to go to 90% working capacity instead of 80. I don't have those numbers. It's not, I'll get you that when I
But that's not
send this.
real either, right? Like
What,
we
the
just kind
80% is not real, it's
We
a
just
target.
kind of came up with
Yeah,
that.
well, it makes some sense, because when you get there, you got to then have
You have
time
to
to go
see.
figure out what you're going to do,
That was when it was time
and
to
still,
Agreed.
and still allow
Agreed.
some
Hook up.
some
The
projects.
thing that we can't lose sight of, how much are we paying, how many gallons are we paying for?
628,000 gallons per day.
Okay, so we are paying, whether we use one
Use it or
gallon.
not. Yep.
We are paying for 628,000
8,000.
gallons a day.
Yep.
So the closer we get to 628,000 gallons being paid for,
The better,
the better.
Right.
in that respect.
Yes.
However,
However, there's
at the
always-
impact of potential future growth, tax revenues, all these things people like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think though, again, when we talked about this before, we talked about what projects would be flow-worthy, so to speak. And this qualifies for one of the
Yes.
ones we were talking about. Now, as Craig said, at some point, we are going to run out of capacity unless
Yes.
somehow we obtain other
Yes.
capacity.
Yes.
And in that case, the project would have to have a package treatment plant if
Yes.
it was going to move forward.
Yes.
Or
We're
we have
not,
to acquire additional.
or we'd
from
have to
somebody else.
acquire.
Yes.
But at that point, we're not
We're
there
not there
yet.
yet.
And we do have some capacity, and it is a mix with affordable housing, which is kind
The
of on
goal.
the checklist.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And this number also that we have available takes into account a pending project we haven't even heard of yet for Stony Brook
Right.
for the same amount. So if you struck that from the list, not saying we should, but if that didn't exist, we would be in a much better place too.
Yes.
And until they come before us, it doesn't really exist.
Well, maybe this will prompt them to come
Yes.
before us.
Yeah, I would if I was them. I'd get here quickly.
thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Hey,
Yes.
Scott.
Stuff easy for a living union, so I know we're bad for it, but there's no land down there, no room to put a packaging plant, no room whatsoever. There's no, you're telling me there's not? There's all that land back there, there's no room.
So we looked into this. We did,
Because the reason I ask is we just paved 109, so we're gonna have to rip up beautiful 109 to tie in sewer to your development.
no?
No,
No.
no, you
There's
don't
a
have
stub
to.
there.
No, it's not, we just paved it, so I'm just asking the question. So, sorry, thank you.
So, we're actually in discussions with them, you know, there are other ways to get sewer, if
If
off
it
of Farm Street, if
Oh,
it
okay.
comes. Not that that's been decided or anything of that. So I have to say, I'm probably a little more encouraged with this meeting than I've ever been in previous, because I heard first come, first serve. So, you know, I'm glad to hear that, because there were many things on that project list that people have been holding on to that number for many, multiple years. And I'd like to see that, you know, if we have a developer here that wants to move forward within this time frame of next year, I gladly give them the sewer extension permit, and I'll fight to get their through the Charles River Pollution District. Because there are other developments that have been sitting there for year after
I
year
know.
after year after year,
I know.
and we've gone no place with them.
Right.
And
And
if
they
that-
think it's gonna be there forever.
and if it knocks them off,
Good.
so be it.
Yep.
Well, and that was the other part of the discussion, now that I can remember back how many years
Yep.
ago. It takes a minute to get there, but I'm
3
there
years
now.
ago.
Yep.
Yeah, we said that one of the criteria was we need to reevaluate these projects at some point. That
Yep.
permit is not in perpetuity.
Was it 3 years? What did we
It's
say?
actually two,
It was
in the sewer extension, it's
So-
2 years.
Two.
So I would be more than open to reconsider anybody who's over 2 years that hasn't made any progress at all. And that doesn't mean we're going to cancel them, that doesn't mean
Yep.
we're going to close them out, but I think that it's important to say that, because if I'm sitting on some of these larger projects that have capacity, that haven't paid a betterment.
Since
yet.
2019.
I know,
Some
but-
of them have been there, and they haven't done
Right.
pretty much
Anything.
nothing.
Right.
I know.
So that's another.
Yeah,
you're
but-
getting a list together for our next meeting.
Yes, but they're all, I don't wanna use the word legal, but they're all still,
Well, they're legal, but you
we
have the
need to
right,
record.
you still have the right to pull the permit, because every one of them's been 2 years gone past their expiration
I
date.
know, but hasn't COVID extended that?
No, that's gone.
Yeah.
That-
I would
that's,
say
that-
that we don't have to,
Really?
I don't want to
Yeah.
make a blanket statement,
Yes.
they're going
I
to
don't-
pull all the, yeah.
I don't,
Well, Union Street, but Union Street is another one that, you know, we've litigated, we've gone through much discussions with them, we've come to
You
a
talking about
final.
Herman Shoe?
Herman Shoe.
That's
I
a
mean, that-
special case.
that-
It's
that-
a little different.
But we've worked
Yeah.
through that, we haven't heard nothing from them. They were
Yeah.
going,
I
so,
would be eager to have a conversation with anybody who has a permit over X number of years. And I don't think 2's the right number,
Yeah.
but I don't think 5's the right number.
Yeah.
There's some number in there that makes sense. And that
Okay.
doesn't mean we're going to cancel their permit, but I need to hear.
What's
I need
going
to-
on?
I think we need to vote to extend their permit or not.
Yeah.
And that puts a little bit of impetus on them.
that's what I'm
do
trying to
something.
get on the planning board to do. But most of these projects don't go through the planning board. Most of them are going through the
That's right, 'cause they're-
ZBA, they're all going through the,
They're
some of the different
40Bs.
projects.
Right. But if we sit on the water, the sewer.
Yeah, you can do,
approval,
that's why I
yeah.
say you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
So
mean,
I have a
yeah.
question. So this is a discussion, this says no motion needed.
No.
But if we're going to approve, shouldn't we approve something?
So I guess what why I asked to have this meeting, and I
Yeah.
asked them to come, was that you allow me to give him
Yes.
this paper to, because again, like he just said, this is 60K that he
Yeah.
filled out. This isn't cheap. There's not a ton of money, but there's a fee associated with filling out this.
Dan, what are you
sewer
here
extension
asking? Are you
application.
asking for anything?
So they're in a due diligence period.
Okay.
They have to make a decision.
This is a due diligence period to purchase the property, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay.
And they need to know the answer to this question if they're going to proceed.
And
they're-
what's the question?
Will you allow them to connect?
So and until you actually get this, back,
Yeah.
completely filled out in your next meeting. We will review the process, and we'll get the approval of that.
So the board can make a determination at your next meeting on July 21st.
So not to muddy the waters, but
Muddy,
this is a 40B. All local approvals go through the zoning board
I
of
know.
appeals.
Except
So-
for water and sewer.
No, I don't believe that's correct.
I
All local
believe that-
approvals go through the zoning board. So
No,
they
excuse
want to
me.
do this as a LIP, local
But
initiative.
the
That's
water
not
and
true.
sewer commissioners have
That's
to
correct.
approve releasing
The
water or
water and sewer
sewer.
capacity, that's not true. That's
Zoning
absolutely
doesn't
true.
have that authority. They can be okay with it, but I don't know.
And you can set the fees, you can set the fees of everything, of just like everything else. The only one that I've ever been in a process that somebody actually came was when he asked for the relief on the 40, the actual low-income ones, or the 40B ones, for a discount. I believe that you have the right, if the sewer is not available, you have the right to say that it's not available. And then if they choose not to believe that, then they have legal rights to.
They can
I
appeal to the
understand
state if
Correct.
they feel that.
And I don't think we're getting to that point, and I don't want
Right.
anybody to get that impression that I'm saying that.
no, but I'd like to
I'm
hear.
happy to give them the
I
application
like
because
to
of what
hear
you said.
everything.
Yeah.
I think that we need to go with the official application
Yes.
process. And I don't think there's any reason that Stony Brook can beat you in, but they're already factored in on the list, so there's not.
But
an
they're
issue.
not,
They're not.
they're not.
Yeah.
Stony Brook never hasn't filled one of these
Yeah.
No,
out
no,
yet
but
for
they're
you.
factored in on our
Yeah.
capacity list. as
No,
soon as
they're, yeah, but they're really not.
I know, but they show up on our list.
I
When
know.
we talk about our numbers, we're
But they,
talking about them.
right.
Yeah, let's pretend it's not there.
Well,
It's
then
not
that adds
there.
20,000.
list.
No.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Okay, perfect.
I think Jim just talked about them because they
Then we have more-
talked
then
to
we
us
do
for
have
a
enough
while,
capacity.
but
Yeah.
then he disappears. He just disappears,
Then we have
so,
enough capacity, so.
Yes.
I would say fill it out.
So I would say, yes, I would agree that let's give them the application and move forward.
I don't know
They
what,
can't wait that long, which is the problem.
Can't,
Their due diligence comes up
July 14th.
July 14th.
okay, I don't
Well,
know.
The board has a special meeting.
On the 9th.
It was originally just for year-end transfers. You could put it up on the 9th, on your year-end, you could add
Would
it.
hearing stuff, would we have to notify people
I
or
don't
no?
think this is a hearing.
I don't either, I just don't know. where-
No, that's
Why
no
aren't we doing
hearing.
it
No,
now?
Okay, I
it's not a
wasn't
hearing.
sure.
Why aren't
So
we
you
doing
could,
it now?
you could legally add it to the 9th if you
Okay.
wanted to.
so let's do that.
Okay,
If that's
so-
okay with
Put it
you
on the
guys.
9th. Just to be clear, that's a work day for me.
Does that work
I have
for you?
something I
Yeah.
have to do.
Yes.
I could.
Yes, it
be
works.
Concise.
The meeting would have been a 5-minute meeting, maybe now it will be.
Oh, now it'll be a 7-minute
We'll
meeting.
make it set.
I booked 20, so that's fine.
You always
It's
book
the
one.
9th at 1
There's always the
PM.
chit chat.
Thank you for
So
that
it-
consideration, by the way.
Is that a, oh, are we just good? What's up, Jim?
Yeah, Jim Duffy. It came up, I was going to come up to remind people. We talked about permit times to take action. And I think we need to solidify that and more formalize that of.
And call people on it,
when's
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly, yeah.
so two things is, I don't know if that's in writing or whether we've ever told anybody or, what's the,
We have-
is it open-ended or is in fact our permits that we've issued say you've got
Listen,
3 years?
we would have to meet with the planning and whatever and see, I believe that every permit that's out there is in good standing. That's my belief. So until what?
Yeah, that's right. So going forward, you can impose time limitations
Yes,
going
but any-
forward.
Let's
Any-
define good standing.
Historically, you did not.
Just means,
They're within their time frame to begin construction. They haven't done, just because we don't see anything being done doesn't mean that their time has lapsed. Now, again, we're not going to come in here after the fact and go back and undo somebody's permit with some vague, we think it's been too long. But we talked about moving forward,
Yeah.
putting
They need
time.
to give us a process
Putting a time
plan
limit.
that says, here's where we are, right?
I know, but I'm saying, Jim, I know you don't think that.
No, it's in the bylaws.
You don't think that COVID extended, but COVID extended permits.
But that's still an
Yeah,
extension.
but
If
it's
in
been
the
5
bylaw that
years.
we get whatever that is, we can look at that.
I don't know about that.
So it's in the
But
bylaw?
okay.
Okay,
We can find out.
let's move on with this.
Okay.
We can find out.
We can find that out. That's
get
an
an
answerable
More
question.
importantly, we can pull everyone, take a look and see where we are.
Yeah.
One quick point, because I just want to make absolutely clear, we're talking about permits.
Who are you?
And, oh, I'm sorry. Bob Weiss, the Economic Development Planning Director. Thank you for reminding me. So we're talking about permits, and we're talking about building permits, but we're also talking about the permit from the state, right? And the permit from the state are the ones that received a little bit of slack from the state because of COVID. And those can be extended. The one at 114 Union Street, they are more or less extended.
Okay.
Okay. Now, both 1178 Main and 114 Union Street have their permit from the state. Neither one of them has building permit here.
Okay,
So
but.
I don't know how that works if they have a state permit, the comprehensive permit, but they don't have the building permit yet. I don't know how that affects the status of the project.
It would seem to me that the state permit would rule if it's been extended. When you said 1-1, is that Mark House? Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, Mark House is at 1178.
Okay.
That's 48 units, and 114
Do you
Union
know about
Street
his
is
permit?
98.
Sure, yeah, we did it.
Okay, is it,
The way the 40B works is
explain it to us,
you
please.
apply to the state for a letter of site eligibility first. That takes several months. Then you do a whole design. You submit it to the zoning board. They go through a whole review process. They issue the comprehensive permit. That's not a final plan. It's an almost final plan, but it's not a final plan. There's one more step in the process, which is the applicant then has to finalize their plans, get it approved by the state, get the zoning board to approve the final set of plans, and then you go to building permit. So it's a lengthy process.
Yeah.
So 1178 has gotten the comprehensive permit approval from the zoning board of appeals, and now they're moving on to that third and final step of finalizing their plans for
Okay.
building permit application for approval by the state.
Okay, so they are moving.
Absolutely.
We just don't see it.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
and what about Tresca?
Tresca had some title questions. They have been resolved. We are designing the project, including your new pump station.
Yeah,
So-
and I think all I'm looking for is that update, that type of an
Okay, so,
update.
well,
Yeah.
he has every project in town.
Yeah, well, let's do it on a formal period update call. Come
So-
back.
I
Not
can
on
come
the
back
ninth.
whenever you'd like.
Okay,
All right, so
I
at
think
this
that'd be-
that'll
point,
be our research.
all right, so at this point, where we're sitting here
Yes.
is you guys have the permit. You will fill it out and do what you do. And then on the 9th, we will discuss and approve that,
Or not.
or not, but hopefully approve that. And then you should be good to go. Is everybody on
Does
the
that
same
sound good?
page?
That's fine.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
all right,
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for your time.
thank you.
Meeting on the 9th is via Zoom only. It is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Or is it
Oh,
at 2?
wonderful.
I think it's at 1.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yes.
I have a golf
1
tournament
o'clock.
that day for work.
Well, you have
Yes.
to have priorities.
Yes,
We'll
it's
figure it
at-
out.
I don't
via
golf.
Zoom,
I'm just working the
Oh,
donors.
my priority would be golf.
Zoom only.
I'm just asking people for money. That's okay.
You can take it with you on your phone.
I
Thank
know,
you.
I'm planning to.
I went shopping the other night and zoomed in on an energy meeting.
Oh, I'm counting that as your liaison.
Well,
Okay.
that was a good tie-in, Craig, because
Yeah.
that's what's next on our list.
Yeah, I saw that.
Board and committee liaison updates and then reassignment of liaison roles for 2026.
I'm not sure what I had, any.
I know. Do you have our list, Karen?
I have the list of, yeah. I need
No, no, I mean meetings that we attended.
Oh, I wrote them all down.
Yeah, because you've got to win this, I
Yes,
understand.
I don't have to win it, I just
You will win it.
have to win
When
it.
was our last meeting? How far back do I have to go?
I don't have anything.
Oh, Lord, what did I do with my sticky? All right, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Look at all the ones I have. You're on half of them, so relax.
Okay.
So liaisons. On June 11th, Craig and I attended the school building committee, right?
Yes, we did.
And economic development. You didn't go to that.
I went to the economic, they had pizza, of course.
Oh, right, pizza, economic development, and I went to the sewer meeting.
Yeah, I took the vacation day to do that one.
So the school building committee was, that was a great meeting.
That was-
We already discussed it
Yeah.
Yes.
with the change to the gym.
Yep.
And then on the 13th, we attended the active shooter. Does that count? No. Okay. And then on the 18th, there was another, school building committee.
Yeah, well, that was in person.
That was the in-person one. That was fun.
Lovely.
And then on the 24th, I attended the Energy Committee. I was shopping at the mall and having dinner with my niece, but I listened to every word. I did. And on they're doing the, on the Energy Committee, the two women made a presentation, and they're continuing with the getting to net zero in 2050. God love them. And on the 26th, we had the Economic Development Committee,
I missed that one,
which was, why did I go to that?
because I missed that. Oh, they had the guidebook.
That was last week.
Oh, the guidebook.
Guidebook for construction.
So two pieces. I left before the second piece. So we're developing a guidebook for anybody that wants to come to Millis, whether they're a developer or somebody that just moved into town and wants to open up a little attorney's office or a yarn shop in their basement. It's a book that tells you every step where to go with, it's going to be terrific. You got to go to zoning if you need this. It's one of those that if you need this, follow this. If you need this, follow this. It's going to be, I think it's going to be terrific. So that was fun.
Yeah, I attended the one she said I attended.
Okay, great. And I didn't attend any. I was on vacation.
Yep.
All right, so our reassignment of liaison roles for fiscal year '26. So I don't know if you guys are all looking at the same page I'm looking at, but I guess I first wanted to say, do either of you have a very strong desire for a particular committee?
Having missed all the opportunities for the cemetery committee, and you make it sound so wonderful, it's not a strong desire, but if you're willing, I'd be interested in it.
Okay.
Scared to take it away from you.
I can relinquish.
And I can give you the Norfolk Advisory Board where
Nobody
goes.
Nobody is doing the Norfolk Advisory.
It's just, we get 1/8 of a vote.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
They fight.
Yeah.
It's
But they do have your
disturbing.
annual meeting at
They
Adult
fight.
First Bar.
Bless you. All right, well, I'll have to look into that anyway and see when their meetings are. I don't get any, do you get emails when their meetings are?
Yeah.
I do.
Can somebody forward
I
them to me?
delete them, but I could
have
forward it to you.
actually Send
Yeah.
whoever is going to
Okay.
be on it to them.
Just send me,
You
I
have to
guess.
notify them, yeah.
And if you want to keep the cemetery, I'm fine.
No, it's
but I
okay.
thought it'd be,
Yeah, no, you can have a turn.
okay,
give
I'll
you a
just
turn.
take 1 year on it, and then I'll get off. I'll let you have it back. Oh, if you run again, you know.
Right.
As much as I make fun of them, I like the Energy Committee.
All right.
I really do. We
Yeah.
have fun.
I like capital planning and economic development, and you get to be a voting member on the economic development.
Okay. So
Do you want
capital
economic
planning,
development?
economic
Are
development.
you out of your mind?
All right.
No.
So Craig, you would stay on capital planning, economic development, and cemetery.
Unless somebody else wants either of those other two.
Oh, no, you can have them.
Okay, no, I'm fine.
Okay.
And then Ellen,
I like permanent building because I'm doing the school building and it's right after it.
yeah. all
It's
right.
easy.
So you'll do.
And energy.
Energy.
And the cable.
We'll just
they
leave
took
you
it
on
away
cable.
from me because I don't get along with the guy.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding.
You might want to stay on it just to wrap it up.
I'll stay on it, but it is beyond.
I can take it if you
I
need
think
me
it's not
to.
gonna-
Fun like
It's
the
not with our
cemetery.
cable company, it's with our
Yeah, he's going to be
council.
at your next meeting
Is he?
because we're planning on wrapping this up.
Okay. No, I'll take it.
You
All
can
right.
do it, Ellen.
All right, so I'll take Norfolk County Advisory, and I'll keep Community Preservation and Local Emergency Planning.
All right, so the only swap is cemetery for Norfolk County Advisory.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right.
That's
Okay.
easy.
And
Is
then
that good with you
Did
guys?
you see that I noted that you are the self-appointed
I
liaison
did.
to the Charles River?
I don't think we count that one as
They
liaison
lo-
updates.
They don't, but
No.
if I don't go to a
That's why I
meeting,
said she's self-appointed.
Yes.
they miss
miss
me
you.
terribly,
Yeah.
terribly.
All right.
So we just need the
Wait a-
formal motion.
I move
Okay.
that the board appoint liaison roles for FY '26 as noted.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, now we have draft minutes.
I move that the board approve draft minutes for 4/28, 5/19, and 6/9 as written.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And then we,
And then lastly, so Avelina's closed some time ago. They didn't relinquish their license right away, so the board has the ability to just revoke the license as we have a new tenant coming in.
okay,
So the new tenant cannot get approval, which we already approved their license, they can't get formal approval until the board actually.
I'm going to recuse myself.
I move
Okay.
the board revoke the retail all alcohol license for S&S Enterprise LLC, DBA Avelinas due to closure of business.
second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And then you have another thing to say.
I move the board enter executive session for the following reason: to conduct strategy session in preparation for contract negotiations with union and non-union personnel. Finance Director, SEIU.
Okay, I'll poll the board. Ellen?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
I'm an aye. So we are adjourned then. We will come back out of executive session just to adjourn. And thank you, Millis Community Media, and everybody have a great evening.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th of July.